Egypt and Qatar and the United States racing to capitalize on the Iran-Israel truce momentum. How realistic is it that they're going to find a window here?
Good evening, Martin. Thanks for having me. I think the situation is different. What we're talking about between Iran and Israel is very different from talking about Gaza or Hamas with Israel. The best we can hope for is a ceasefire, and a ceasefire that is not guaranteed not to be violated by Israel, just like the one held before in January. I think even if Israel committed itself to a ceasefire deal, it will use it as a short term to capture its breath, to bring back the detainees home, and then they will continue what they started. It looks like each and every time that Israel is not pro-peace. It's not about a peace deal, as we are hearing in the news today and for the past couple of days, based on what President Trump hopes for. He hopes for closing a peace deal with the two parties, the Palestinians and the Israelis. What I hope for is a humanitarian aid, real humanitarian aid for the Palestinians, and perhaps a ceasefire for a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I don't think that the window would be open for any more.
Okay, coming to you, Dr. Tamara Hadid. Hamas, we hear, facing some tribal dissent within Gaza and talk of Israeli-backed local opposition. Is there a growing risk of some kind of internal collapse? And might a ceasefire offer breathing room for the group to regroup politically?
Greetings to you. Yes, the presence of Hamas's movement in Gaza Strip would alarms the formation of eternal props that threaten to security within Gaza, as these groups are calling to change the system politically or militarily, or to have Hamas to be transferred to political party to be engaged with all the factions in the Gaza Strip, or to be an alternative administration to unify the internal factions within the Palestine, as the continuation of not having a political horizon as one of the Israeli conditions to halt the cessation of Gaza, which is the process of releasing the hostages in the Gaza Strip. Up till this moment, Hamas's governance is still in place in Gaza Strip. There are demands from the Palestinian entering the humanitarian aid to halt this or cessation of the war in the Gaza Strip. So you should have some sort of a different governance. And in reality, the reality of ceasefire is provided by Hamas movement as demanded of two things. Firstly, to have a future the cessation of the war in the Gaza Strip and the withdrawal of the army from the Gaza Strip. Both points, the reality Israel had imposed it. So, in order to reach a ceasefire, so it was some sort of must that Hamas should abound its governance, and even by demanding in a day to the Committee of Support, which does not mean that its government has come to an end. And lately, Hamas had requested to one of the regional players that they might accept the 60-day ceasefire, provided not to infringe its presence abroad, the members of the political office, specifically in Qatar, and not to infringe its monies abroad, and to keep its members as a part of it within Gaza Strip, and to have the governance of Hamas by Hamas members as rejected by Israel. In addition, to have a rearrangement of the internal government, so the continuation of the state as it is would spark the internal chaos and threaten the internal um, divisions. And in order to end the Israeli pretext that Hamas presence has used up till now to prolonging the war against civilians, women and children.